Good evening, everyone who is ready to put power into their Thursdays. Welcome to the Inspire SA show. We are always happy to be here and share this wonderful information and knowledge with you guys. And also, most importantly, welcome to the Power Thursdays show, which is our sessions that are always okay each and every single Thursday, where we show you how to create solution using the Power Platform. So, without wasting any more time, I do apologize though for not showing up on the previous week to show you our second session, but you'll see what we have in store for you for today and our second episode for our Power Thursdays show for the second season in the Inspire Essay. So, our previous session was mostly based on a Power Automate flow in which I'm about to share my screen quickly. A Power Automate flow that helped us take the responses that we got from a Microsoft form and store them into SharePoint. Right, that's what it helped us do, and it helped us to organize our content, to organize everything that we have from our speakers or from the Inspire Essentials speakers. Hopefully, they endorse me and take the solution and organize it and put it into one centralized place where they can access it whenever they need it. So, today's episode is mostly a continuation to what we did last week. But what you see on the screen right now is our previous Power Automate flow, in which it is something that we are going to update or tweak a little bit because that's what we want to do. Because, like I said, it's a continuation from last week's or from the previous week's episode. Yeah. So, what we have here, the normal process of our Power Automate flow was whenever a new response was submitted using a Microsoft form, we needed to get the response details, which is everything that was on that form, which is from your speaker full name, your session title, your profile picture, and the speaker's email. Get them from that form, and then we need to store them into SharePoint. How did we do that? We created an item on SharePoint using this action or action helper in Power Automate in our flow, right? So it took all of that information and stored it in those columns within our SharePoint list that we had, which is test 13. But, a naming conversion, never killed anyone. But for today, it's just an example. So, and then what we did afterwards was to parse the JSON of that profile picture because, like I've mentioned before, SharePoint is not really friendly when it comes to taking pictures directly from either a Microsoft Forms or directly from Microsoft Power Apps. So you need to pass in a JSON object to be able to convert whatever information or metadata that comes within that picture and convert it into and make it into a language that SharePoint can be able to understand and store that image and picture in. And then our next step from that was to get the file content using the path, which means we needed to get the actual image now from where it was stored. So like I said last time, if you have created a Microsoft form, technically based off the name of your form, right? On OneDrive, you'll have a folder called apps, and then in that folder, it will be Microsoft Forms, and then in that folder as well, there will be the name of your form and then the question. So that question folder will be based off the question where you take attachments from the people using the Microsoft form. Not that the questions as in entirely all the questions from the Microsoft forms, but just that specific question that has upload attachments function with it. And then after that, last but not least, on our last episode's flow, we added an attachment onto SharePoint. So that attachment was added into SharePoint into our list, right? When we see our list here, when we created an item, the same list, it was added into that list using the ID of this created item with those details that come from that Microsoft form, right? And we took the file name and we took the file content, which means we took the profile picture and we stored it into SharePoint, into our list. So now, what would be the next step really? The next step with Power Automate, which is one of the things that I really loved, and I think it's a solution I recently built for someone, is that now Inspire SA has this flow running in the background, which does wonders in terms of taking the information and putting it in a centralized place. But now the problem is Inspire SA is not notifying, or they're trying to notify the speakers that, okay, we've received your request, or we've received your session that you want to have on the Inspire SA show. um it'll probably on this day, or it'll probably, without sending any communication for that matter. So there wouldn't be any communication to the speakers or to the people who are trying to get into the Inspire SA show. And if there is any communication, it would be tedious for Narcisse, Yolanda, Leto, myself, Lebo to actually send this communication per speaker, right? So now if we received a request from one speaker, we have to send a response. If we receive another request, we'd have to write another email. Why don't we have something that can automate that process? Meaning something that can help us each time we receive that request, it just sends an automatic email telling them we've received the request, they'll be updated soon. Why don't we do that? And also, for that matter, there's another small problem for Inspire SA Show team as well. What is that? In terms of when they receive this request from the speakers, the new speakers that want to come onto the show, it doesn't really notify them either saying that there's a new request in. So probably that request would sit there for days without me or Nassis checking it, and then we'll see it 10 days later. Probably that speaker has given up if they have to come onto the show. So we need to have a notification or a way to notify the team as well to know that there's a new request in. So how do we do that? We need to tweak this a little bit. But right now, we need to tweak our Power Automate flow right now. So what do we do now in this case? In this case, we need to add an action to send an email, both to the Inspire SA show team and also to our new speaker that wants to come into the show. So how do we do that? We add a new step here. There is a very specific way that I did this type of flow for a friend of mine and a client of mine that I would like to show you guys, but in a sense, in our context, it probably wouldn't be feasible. But because I love you guys so much, I will show you. Right. So before we can add this, information of we need to send an email from the Inspire SA show to the speaker, and also from Microsoft Forms to the Inspire SA show. So we need to understand what we're trying to do. So what we're trying to do, like I mentioned before, is that when this new request using Microsoft Forms comes in, and all of this information is stored through this previous process that I showed you guys, this previous process that I'm hovering over, and this information is stored in. Now we need to notify Inspire SA show so that they can know that there's a new request in and there's new information about a specific speaker, who submitted their session. And then we also need to notify that speaker saying that the request has been received. So that is our scenario right now. So let's get right into it and start creating our our Power Automate flow, or actually updating it already because we already have it. So we will search here Outlook, and when we find Outlook, there would be, let's click on Office 365 so that we can see all of the actions that come with Outlook, with the connector for Outlook. So there's different options here. What we're looking for is to send an email, which is we're using the V2, send an email V2. So we click on that. We'll have this to be two things. It'll be double of this same action, but it is doing the same process but for different people. So at first, we need to notify the Inspire SA Show team that there's a new request in. So in my case, I can use my email and say, okay, who are we sending this email to? We're sending this email to Somelez. Since we're sending this email to Someleze or Diko, there's another way that we could have possibly done it. If the Inspire SA Show had a centralized email, which is a team email, we would have just set this and put that team email instead of putting the individuals. I can also put Narcissus email here, if I'm not mistaken, here, so that it can notify him as well, saying that there's a new request in. So the subject will have to provide the subject of the email, right? Obviously, it's an email. So the subject would be new speaker alert. And then the body, you can shape it in whatever way you want it to shape it. You'll say, hi team, there's a new speaker who submitted the session. Please have a look. Please have a look um, to that news speaker, or to that news person who submitted that new request. So how do we do that, right? We're just sending a generic email without specifying the necessary details in terms of where should they look, possibly, because if they would go onto this SharePoint list, there would be different names of these people, probably, let's say, an influx of 20 speakers. So we wouldn't know who's new, who's not new, right? So what we can do in this case, I think, if I remember this correctly, because we were learning together, I just did this a few days ago. All right, we can say there's a new speaker who submitted the new session. Please have a look. If we wanted to, we can also just name them and say, hi team, there's a new speaker who submitted their session. Please have a look. Their name is, and then we use the dynamic content that we already have from all of those previous actions that we've had before. So we quickly double check what we can pick and choose from. So we want from the response of the form. So we want the speaker full name. So we'll say their name is, and you can view their request on. So now here comes the tricky part. We want Inspire SA, which is Digo, Nassis, Leto, to be able to specifically go to that item that they need to view, which is that new request. So how do we do that? So in our case, we have there's different options that are here from our previous actions that we've built before. So there's different options, right? There's different options that we have. They are in a sense, they they help us gain more knowledge or gain more ability to actually be able to actually be able to do anything that we want to do, right? To do anything that we want to do. Like for an example, I just pulled a dynamic content that will help us get the speaker full name, right? But in that case, we probably wouldn't be able to actually name them in a sense that where Inspire Essay doesn't know who is this new person. Like you saw our our list here, our SharePoint list. There could be different people here, and there could be like loads more, and we wouldn't know who's new. And maybe let's say Narcisse saw this maybe 3 hours from now, and I saw it 4 hours from now. So we want the Inspire SA Show team to be able to go and look at these new requests as they come in, because we need that to happen. It's something that we definitely need to happen. So what we can do now to help the Inspire SA show to look at that specific request that just came on is that we go back to our Power Automate flow, and then you say you can view the request on, and then we scroll down. So now, since we know our previous or our Power Automate flow has actually created this item into SharePoint, now we need to get that specific item, that one item that was created into SharePoint, onto this email so that they can be able to view it at any given time. So how will they do that? They will use a link. That link will come from create item, or from the action, from the SharePoint action, which is create item, that we have on our Power Automate flow that we built previously. So we look for a dynamic content called link to item, right? So if I click on link to item, right, probably it could work. We wouldn't even know, right? We could never really know that it will work properly. So when I tested it before, what happened was, if you leave it as like this, by just putting this dynamic content like this, saying link to item, when the email gets sent or is received by the user or anyone that the email is supposed to go to, they won't be able to click on the link. It's not sent as the actual hyperlink, it's just sent as a plain text. It's a link, but it's a plain text, so you can't click on it. It's like just words that have gibberish. But don't fret. Don't be nervous. There's a solution to that. How do we do that? You will see here there's this funny icon here that looks nice. Normally programmers would actually recognize it right away. So if you hover over it, it says code view. So if I click on code view, this will help us be able to structure our email in an HTML way that is recognizable to any, like for an example, any web app or any website that you have. So HTML, everyone knows HTML is what it's a tool that is used to actually build websites, or one of the tools, not just the only one. So now we can be able to manipulate our email using HTML. And what we know about HTML, there's a specific tag or HTML tag that would help us to create a hyperlink, or that would give us the option or the ability to be able to give a hyperlink to a specific item. So which one is that? So I will click on this and I will hit space, and then this is the HTML tag we normally use. If I remember correctly, that's the HTML tag that we normally used when I was learning HTML back in my days. I don't know when it was. When was that? So, and then you say A and you say href. So it's like you're referencing a specific link or a specific item. I was never able to actually explain this, but href is like referencing or your link. It's making that specific item or thing into a link. So that's where you put your link, and we say is equal to, we put the inverted commas there, double inverted commas, before the dynamic content, which is linked to item, and right after it. And then we close off the first part of this HTML tag for the link. It's for a hyperlink. And then you can customize it in terms of giving it a specific text. So I can give it a text which is, I can put here, or I can put on our SharePoint, or let's be fancy, on our centralized place. And then we want to close our tag now, which is we go into the closing part or the second part of our HTML tag. And then now what we have to do is to just open the greater than or less than sign. I don't know which one is greater than or which one is less than. I haven't done medicine a very long time. And then a forward slash, and then we put our A back again, and we close our tag. So that's it. Now, if they want to view, the Inspire SA team wants to view that item, they'll be able to click on the link that comes with that email specifically, right? That's what we want to achieve here, so that they can be able, that specific item that comes in that specific time, as the user is, or this new speaker is putting in, or the request for the session they want to have on the Inspire SA show, Narcis or me or Yolanda or the entire team can be able to review it as it comes in. That's the entire idea behind it. So that would be done for the Inspire SA email. And then we can add a new step, which is sending an email to our speaker. So we will go through the same process of searching for the Outlook connector and click on send an email v2 again. Now, who are we sending this email to? We want to send this email to our speaker. And our speaker now is a person who is waiting for a response from us, because they submitted the form, they never got anything or any information back. So we need to give them information, and we don't want it to be tedious that for every speaker, we are always typing new emails. We just need an automated process. So how do we get their email? You remember that on our form, we had a specific field. If we go back to our form, had a specific field that took the email of the speaker. So you can see that on our form, we have that email. So we are going to manipulate that. We're going to pull that email from the form and use it to send the email to our speaker. That's why it's always important. That's why each and every single time when there's conferences, they always ask for emails if people are into going to conferences or going to shows like the Inspire SA show. It's a great show. So what we have to do, because it doesn't show on the suggested people in turn, so what does that mean? It means that if it's not showing suggested people, that means that person is not part of my organization. If you can see my screen, I'm hovering over this thing and says Microsoft Student Partners. So this person is not part of the Microsoft Student Partner program, or is not part of the Microsoft organization at all. So we need to send an email to them nonetheless. So that's why I said we need to manipulate that email we got from the form. So we're going to click on add dynamic content, and we scroll down, and it's either we can choose from the create item that we can take it from SharePoint, because we already started in SharePoint, or we can just take it directly from the email itself. So from the form, from the form itself. So we can just take the one from the form itself. It's up to you whichever one you want to use, but normally I just use the one from the form. Then I click on email, and then subject line, I can still add something generic saying that request or session request received, and we can say hi again, manipulate or use their name again so that they can feel more welcome. Not manipulate. Manipulate is a bad word. So that they can feel more welcome, we use their name on the email so that they can understand and know that we have acknowledged that they've sent their session to us. So we go again on our dynamic content. We look for get response details, which is the stuff that we're getting from our form. And then we take the speaker full name. We say, hi, Somele Zedigo, if I was the one who submitted the form. We have received we have received your session, and it is currently going under review. If you want to be fancy, please expect an update within two to 3 days. Yeah, and then you say kind regards, Inspire SA team. There's another way of doing this. Currently, the email will be sent as my account, which is the student ambassador's account, which is mine, Somele Zitiko. So when the person receives the email, it'll come from me. But there's another option where if I click on advanced, as I clicked on advanced just now, you can choose to send from or send as, so you can specify that specific email that you want to send this email to our user as. So if Inspire SA Show had their own email, I would have used it. So that's how it is, and that's how our email would look like. And then that's it. And then we save, right? We save. Hopefully it works, right? Hopefully it works, and yeah, it would be awesome. So we just added two actions onto our Power Automate flow, which is the one that we already created. But those two last steps are very important if you want to have a good relationship with the speakers that want to come onto the show. Inspire SA Show people, please do listen to me. If you want to have people feel welcome on the show in terms of them coming onto the show and you guys responding to them without having to go through the tedious task of sending emails one by one, right? So let's test it. So I have my form open here, so we will see if it runs successfully here. So I have the form here opened because for it to work we need to use the form, right? So let me click on preview quickly, and then speaker full name, I will say Yolanda Mabusela, and then session title would be Student Build Conference. Then profile picture, I don't know which one I can put. I can put any image that I have here because I don't have any profile pictures. Yolanda needs to send profile pictures so that we can use them for our demos. And then email, I will use my Gmail account so that we can see it working. So someleza.d@gmail.com, and then we submit, right? We submit our form and we wait for it. So at first, this is the only feedback our user or speaker would get. Thanks, your response was submitted. That's it, and wouldn't get any information from us. So now I'm going to open two of my mailboxes, which is my Gmail account and my Outlook. So let me first open my Gmail account. So the Gmail account will work as me as I will be a new speaker. So as Yolanda, for an example. So what you'll see now on my email, never mind the storage that I don't have, there's an email from Someleze Digo. Like I said, it sent it from my student ambassador's account with the subject saying session request received. It says, "Hi, Yolanda Mabusela." Remember, we put Yolanda Mabusela as a speaker full name. "We have received your session and it is currently going under review. Please expect an update within 2 to 3 days." Never mind the spelling and the wording. Kind regards, Inspire SA team. So, if right now there was no need for Yolanda or the Inspire SA show team, since they're not here, to send me the email, right? To send this email, right? They're not here. There's no need for them to send this email one by one. It was automatic. So that's the whole idea behind Power Automate. We're automating processes where they are repetitive. We're trying to make them better, where we can do things and save more time and do more important tasks. So this would be the speaker end, the speaker's end side of things, or the user's end side of things, the person who submitted the form. So what happens on the side of the Inspire SA show team, right? So let me open my Outlook now. So now I'm part of the Inspire SA show team, and I put my email as as one of the Inspire SA show team people that are in charge of the Inspire SA. So you'd see that there's an email that got in from me. Again, like I said, it will send the email using my account, my student ambassador's account. If it was if um if the Inspire SA show team had a different mailbox or different email, I would have used it, but we do not have it right now. And then we look at this email. It says, "From Someleze to me and to Nassis." It says, "Hi team, there's a new speaker who submitted their session. Please have a look. Their name is," remember I put that dynamic content to get the speaker full name, "Yolanda Mabusela." And you can view their request on, remember that we put the link to our item and we actually put it using a hyperlink or an HTML tag to make it a hyperlink. That's how it looks like. So that's how it works. So if we click on that, would it go to our list? So let me say open link in new tab, right? Hopefully it does. And we go here. And when we get here, it gives us the link to the item. It shows us the item and its details, which is the title would be the name of the speaker, Yolanda Mabusela. The session title would be Student Board Conferences. You saw as I put on the form, and the email, well, my Gmail account that I use, and also their profile picture, which is this one, that picture that we uploaded. So in a sense, this way helps the Inspire SA show team to not have that tedious task of having to go through all of those requests that got in. So if we look at this list, see, this is how it looks like currently. So if we look at this list here, it'll show all of the requests that have came in before, right? So maybe let's say they have 20 or 30 and they can't go through all of them one by one. If they didn't have that email that had notified them, so they would have had to go through them one by one, and maybe that would have wasted time and they would have been busy trying to prepare for the next week's session, or if there's a new guest, right? So this way of seeing this email being sent through saying that, "Hi team, there's a new speaker who submitted their session. Please have a look. Their name is Yolanda Mabusala and you can view their request on our centralized place." And then if they click on this link and it goes here, it gives them the ability to review that session or that request there and then it's up to them if they approve it or not. So, without wasting any more time, and I'm guessing probably I'm running out of time, there's just one more thing I want to show you guys. There's one more thing I want to show you guys. Yeah, we're just over 30 minutes. I'm just checking my time here. So, oh yes, before I carry on, I would like to apologize to Nassis. Nassis, if you see this email, please ignore it because it was a test email and to show people this actually works when you're using Power Automate. Okay, never mind now. Um, what we're gonna have to do now is something that is like an extra for the Inspire SA show team. The scenario is yes, yes, the user or the new speaker got the response, the automatic response that you see here, but now they haven't received this update, which is within 2 or 3 days, right? 2 to 3 days. They haven't received that update, and that update has nothing to do with anything. They don't know nothing, nothing's gonna happen, right? So we need to create a flow that will help us update our new speakers again without having to send the email manually or one by one ourselves. So what do we have to do now? Firstly, let's create a Microsoft Excel sheet that we will need and just use. Hopefully, we will use it. So I'm on my OneDrive and I'll create the Excel sheet here. So I click there, and then this Excel sheet will have, let's say, session title, um, session number, and I'm trying to think, I'm trying to be creative because this is an extra something that I want to show you guys. So it's not something that's like I prepared it for you guys. It's something extra that I know that would be helpful for the Inspire SA show team. So session, let's say session number, put that, and then we say session title, right? And then we say date or time. I don't know. Yeah, date and time. Session, session, session time. We'll put session time there. So I'm going through this. I'm creating this idea. I'm trying to be creative for you guys as we go along. So it's not something I prepared prior. So I want to try out something to show you guys that it would be very awesome to have it on the Inspire Say show and also on your guys' end as well. So let's format this. There's 3 columns as a table. Format as a table, whichever format that you want. We say my table has headers, and we click on there, and then that's fine. And let's go and look at table design. We rename it to sessions, right? It will be sessions. Book one, I won't rename. Let's say Inspire. Right. The reason why I'm creating this is because we want to send the update to the new speaker that comes in. So the reason why I'm creating this is this: I want to send this to that new speaker that is coming into the show, so that they can know which time or which date the session is going to be at. Hopefully, Excel doesn't give us problems um, with date and time columns. So let me go back. I think I'll have to close this. So I'll close it. And then we go to our SharePoint list. Our SharePoint list will add a column. We add a column for date and time. And then we say session 8. Session date. And then date and time include time. I want to include time, yes. Okay, that wouldn't be fine or feasible. But let's not include time, but in our solution, I just wanted to include time and the date so that they can know on which day at what time they have to speak. But I'm trying to run away from complications and this session having to be long or this episode having to be long. So I'm just gonna not include time, just the date. It'll be fine. And then, okay, never mind. Let's include time. It's fine. And then we click on save. Right, that would be session date, and then that's fine. We have our updated list now. So what do we do now? We go back to Power Automate, right? We create a new flow. This new flow, its sole purpose is to update our Inspire SA new speakers that want to come to the show. So we click on create. We choose from the different options, which is automated cloud, instant cloud flow, scheduled cloud flow, desktop flow, and business process flow. So we choose automated cloud flow, right? Automated cloud flow, my flow name would be update speakers. And then now I need to choose a trigger for our flow. Why do we need that? Why are we doing this? So the small scenario that I'm trying to make here now so that you can understand the context is that let's shy away from this for now. Let's go back to our SharePoint list. Right. We say we've received now the requests from the speakers. We have the requests from the speakers, and now we've reviewed them. Remember on our email we said we have received your session and it is currently going under review. Please expect an update within 2 to 3 days. So now we say we have reviewed the session. Now we are happy and saying that, okay, that's fine. You can come onto the show. Now these people need to know on which date and time are they going to be handing or doing the session on the show. So that's the entire idea from here. So this idea works as if now as the Inspire SA show team member, I come onto this SharePoint list and then I update this specific item and I put the session date to be, let's say tomorrow, Azure and .NET Fridays. I put it for tomorrow, and then when this is updated, I've done my review. I'm done. So Inspire SA Show would have had the manual process, the old process would have had, if they didn't have this whole solution that I'm trying to build in front of you guys, would have had, okay, once they've updated this here, they would have had to go back into writing an email again and saying, okay, we've reviewed your session. This is your date. This is your session title, and this is your session date and time. And then they send that manual email, and now they'd have to do it one by one for all of the speakers that are here. So what we're trying to do is to automate that process. Hopefully you guys got my idea. So let's go back to Power Automate. So we need to choose our flow trigger. Our flow trigger would be SharePoint. So we'll say search SharePoint. Let me search SharePoint there. SharePoint. So we will look here and we say we want to do certain actions when an item in our SharePoint list is updated, because we said the Inspire SA show team will have to update this, right? So we need something to happen when that item is updated, not when it is created. But unfortunately, there's only when an item is created or updated, right? So there it is. When an item is created or modified, do the specific things. So I will choose this as my flow trigger, meaning that when an item within SharePoint is created or modified, in which it will send double emails, but in a sense. That's it's not too perfect. Like I said, I'm just building this in front of you guys. So I will say when an item is created or modified, so when Yolanda updates that session or that new request in SharePoint, we need specific actions to happen. So without wasting time, let's get into it. So I click on create, right? I click on create and we'll see there is our trigger. So again, we'd have to choose our site address. So where is this item being created or modified? It's being created or modified in our site, SharePoint site, which is Task Manager. On which list in that site? And list test 13. Then that's it with your trigger. Right, that's it with your trigger. So your next step is to the next step, because as I put in the Excel file, so we need to create or we need to add a row into a column or a row into a table. So we search, I think it's Excel. There it is. So we click on the Excel connector, right? We want to update this Excel spreadsheet. So that's what we want to do. Time is wasting. We want to update this. So what do? We say, we choose an Excel connector and we say update a row, right? And I click on update a row and then it'll, or actually it'll not update a row. Let's remove this action, because the reason why I'm removing the action, we're not updating a row, we're creating something into that Excel spreadsheet, because that Excel spreadsheet is empty currently. So we click that and then we say add a row into a table. Add a row into a table, right? And then obviously it will ask for us for the location. Where is this Excel spreadsheet at? So the Excel spreadsheet is on OneDrive for Business. Always choose OneDrive for Business. On which document library? On this option, you choose OneDrive. There's no other option that you'd have. And then which file are you adding this row into? So which Excel spreadsheet are you adding this row into? So you click on that folder on the side and you'll see, if you have your Excel spreadsheet on the root folder, you'll see all of your spreadsheets there. And then there's our spreadsheet. We click on Inspire Essay, and then we choose the table. Again, we need to choose the table. The only table in that spreadsheet is sessions, so we click on sessions. I remember Yolanda complaining about there is no there's never a connector with this. There's never a connector with XLY. We're always using SharePoint, so I'm trying to cater into that. Session number, we can use. So now the session number, we will use an ID. This ID comes from when that specific item is created or modified. That would be our session number. Comprende? That's what people use. I don't know whether it's Spanish saying that understood. So that would be our session number, which is the ID, because it has to uniquely identify our session or that specific session where we are updating the user about. The session title, because they need to know their session title, and the session time. So the session time would be the one that was added onto the list by Yolanda or the Inspire Essay Show team after reviewing the new request or session request. So we click on session time, would be that column which is session date. We click on it and then that would be it. Then we close this action. So now here comes the tricky part. Oh my god, the time is not with me. This time is not with me. Here comes the tricky part. The tricky part is that, sorry about that. Why do I have so many browsers, you may ask? The tricky part now is that we need to send this specific Excel spreadsheet to the user so that we can give them feedback so that they can know when their session is due on, or when the session is going to be added on that specific day. So we need to do that, and they need to know that there are other sessions that are already there that are needed to be there onto the show. So that would be the tricky part, right? That's the tricky part. The trickiest part, just the trickiest part. So, but don't fret. I always say, never fret. The question is now, it's either we send them a link to, we use the link here, we just copy the link. That's it's not even tricky. We just copy the link off that Excel spreadsheet, because what we need to do now is to just add a new step, and within that new step, we need to what we need to do now is to send an email. So that would be Outlook. Again, we are sending an email to the user or to our new speaker to notify them that we've reviewed it, and this is when we expect them to be on the show, right? That's how it always works. That's how it always works most of the time, right? That is how it always works most of the time. But there are different ways to actually the different ways to actually do this specific thing. Very different, and it's entirely up to you on how you can do it, on how you cannot do it and stuff. It's entirely up to you. But like I copied the link, it'll be a simple step that is almost the same. So we're sending the email to the user. Forgive me if I'm not making any sense because of the time. I'm looking at the time like this is gonna kill me. So we have to send the email to the user. Again, the user is not part of our organization. Where do we get the email? We add dynamic content, and in our dynamic content, we'll find that for that, there's an email. So we click on email. The subject is session date and session request update. And then we will say, hi, again, we want to be very friendly to our new speaker. So this time there's no form response, so we'll just use the columns in SharePoint. So we click on title. Title is the column that is currently in our list storing the names. You can have a different list, a different column storing the names. So hi, we have reviewed your session, and we would like you to be on the show on this, or I can say on, just leave it as generic as possible. So in this case, I can put it when I have it generic like that. Now we add our dynamic content that will show the date and time. So we say date, which is session date, right? We can put it like this. That's one way of doing it, where you can show the session date. But also, maybe for them to understand the context of the show itself, we would like to share the Excel spreadsheet so that they can know that it's not that we pushed back their session to a further date just because for fun, but it's only because there are other people who have requested to be on the show. So what we have to do here now is to make our email to say, you can view your session time amongst other sessions on the show on, and then we go again. Remember, we copied that link from our OneDrive, right? We copied the link from our OneDrive. So we go back and say on. We come back here, right? Our dev tools. Come back here on our dev tools and we edit this. We add our HTML tag for the link, right? And we say href, say is equal to, and those inverted commas, we paste our link. Oh my god, this link is not copied. We copy the link and then we paste the link there, and then we close. We add a title on this link, and then we try to close our HTML tag again, and then we close it. Then that will be it. That will be it. And then we say see you then. That's just a custom email. You don't have to send it like this. And then let's save it and test it and see if it works, because now times it is very at the essence. I've wasted too much time and Nessus will kill me. So I saved it. We go back to our we go back to our SharePoint list. We test it by updating one of these items. So let's update this item, the one that we just added now. So we say edit, right? Say edit. Yolanda Mabusela is coming for a student build conference. That's her email. The session date would be tomorrow, Friday, right? I don't know if it's allowing me. Tomorrow at what's the time? What would be the time? 12, not 12. It will be at 6 p.m. Her session would be at 6 p.m. And then we click on that, and then we click on save. Without doing anything else, we were just updating that one specific part, and that's it. So now what we need to do is need to check the mailbox of this Gmail account, right, to see if it actually worked. But first, before we check the Gmail account, let's check if the flow ran properly, right? So we look at the history and it says the flow didn't run. That is very odd, because it's supposed to have ran. Or maybe it's the trigger that we chose, right? So maybe that could be another case. You never know. Oh, there it is. Almost making me an amateur. Anyways, so if we refresh this, it'll say our flow ran successfully. It took 3 seconds, and then we go check the email, and it says from Sameleze Tigo, "Hi, Yolanda Mabusela, we have received your session and we would like you to be on the show on." Obviously, you can customize the date for yourself on the 28th of August 2021, and also that time is not really accurate because there is some sort of regional settings that you'd have to set on SharePoint based off who gave you the account. So for me, Microsoft gave me the account, so I'm using a Microsoft account. So the regional settings, I think they are set to the American Standard Time. But I can show you how to convert time to be into the South African Standard Time for another session, which is another day, which would be very exciting for me to show you guys. So now let's quickly check if the link works. We click on the link. You can view your session time amongst other sessions on the show. Open the link on a new tab. It opens the spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet says your session number is number 10 and session title is Student Build Conference on this day 2021 08/28. So if there were other sessions that were there within because it's updating. So for an example, if I updated the others as well, if I updated this one, it will also edit here so that when Lebo receives this email now, he will receive the email with this session and his session as well. And then they can understand that The sessions are not being pushed back to a later date just because for fun, but it's because we have other sessions that are scheduled for specific dates and all of those things. So from me, that would be all. That's what I wanted to show you guys. So um, a small recap of what we did is that we we actually this is an hour long. So we updated our previous flow that we built on a previous episode, updated it so that we can send an automatic response to our team and also the to the speakers that are coming into the show, which is fantastic because we don't need to be doing repetitive, tedious tasks. And we also created a flow that quickly updates our new speakers that are coming onto the show about when they can come onto the show. So from me, that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this and you guys learned a lot. And thank you so much for having me. Be sure to join us tomorrow for Azure and .NET Fridays. I know Tori has something cooking there, and probably one of these days you're gonna see a solution that works together from Power Thursdays with Azure and .NET Fridays. It's just something I'm saying from the top of my head. Tori knows nothing about this, so don't tell him. Yes, so thank you so much, everyone, for coming onto the show today. I hope I gave you guys some power for your Thursday. And yeah, have a wonderful, powerful Power Platform and Power Automate and automated evening. A wonderful evening to you guys, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. And I want to apologize to Yolanda for using her name so much on the show. And yes, thank you. See you guys tomorrow for Azure and .NET Fridays.